So I'm just going to start by telling you guys that I really hate public speaking. So much so that I kind of feel like crying right now. But when Juan emailed me and said, Juan and I met in the Cunayala Islands where I work. He emailed me and he said, I really want you to come to TEDx Panama City, and I want you to talk about garbage. And I thought, there's no way. There's no way I'm coming and talking to a bunch of people about garbage. But I really wanted to tell you my story about garbage. So I got on a plane, put on my best dress, and I'm going to tell you my garbage story. But I'm going to use a crutch, or I'd really cry. So more than 7 million tons of rubbish goes into the sea every year. And plastic, which never goes away, fragments into tiny particles that, like a magnet, and this is interesting, like a magnet, attract heavy metals, interesting and tragic, attract heavy metals and organic pollutants. The fish, mistaking it for food, eat the plastic, consuming trace particles of lead, mercury, magnesium, bisphenol A, and PCBs. People then eat the fish. And as these contaminants travel up the food chain and accumulate, sea life and human health are compromised. Globally, there's a growing movement of waste pickers, or informal recyclers, working to keep waste out of dump sites and waterways. Today, there's an estimated 20 million collecting and sorting plastic, metal, paper, cardboard all over the world. Waste pickers have effectively organized into national and international associations or unions. Red Lacre, the association here in Latin America, is comprised of 15 representative countries and has more than 1,500,000 members. Although these informal waste experts are some of the foremost environmental workers of our time, we have not yet realized an appropriate economic model for adequately compensating them for the services they provide. In October 2010, I was asked by the United Nations Development Program to come to the southern autonomous region of Nicaragua and consult with them on how they might build an effective solid waste management system. Now, all the recycling companies in Nicaragua are on the Pacific, most of them in Managua. Therefore, we were challenged to come up with an economically viable plan for making money off of recyclable waste, while at the same time paying exorbitant fees to move plastic and aluminum cans all the way across the country on trucks and boats. We speculated that if we connected a few different municipalities, we could create the volume necessary to move the plastic to Managua, where we would sell it to recycling companies, therefore, and be able to make some money. Therefore, it became a regional project. We included El Rama, Bluefields, and the Corn Islands. Still, I wasn't sure about the project, and I told the folks at the UNDP that I wasn't entirely certain we could make it work. But then I met the waste pickers in Bluefields. I met these women. Bluefields is a municipality of 50,000 that sits at the mouth of the Rio Escondido. Over the next 3.5 years, I returned to meet this group of 26 women 12 times. For nearly a decade, many of them have been arduously mining the Bluefields 19th of July dump site, prolonging the life of the dump by diverting material, recovering valuable raw materials like aluminum and copper. Simultaneously, their work in the dump site allowed them to build homes, to feed their kids, to buy school uniforms, and to pay the meager annual fees required for their children to advance to the next grade in the public schools. Ultimately, my decision to work in Nicaragua was a decision based on love. I fell in love, and now I'm really going to cry. I fell in love with an extraordinary group of women colonizers. Now, I'm also an instructor at MIT, which meant that my students worked with me, returning to the region many times over the last few years, organizing the waste pickers into a cooperative and co-creating appropriate waste sector business models. What we quickly learned is that these women are already seasoned entrepreneurs. They understand waste. Therefore, our aim at MIT's MIT's Community Innovators Lab, where I'm a program director, was to provide them the ability to embed their knowledge in the existing waste system, no matter how beleaguered, in the existing economy. We realized that although single small waste sector businesses had the potential to be successful in a middle-income country like Brazil, where I'd previously worked with waste pickers, in a country like Nicaragua, we had to build networks of waste businesses that responded to the needs of the few functioning businesses and organizations in the region. In Bluefields, that meant the municipal government, a few local businesses, a couple of universities, and one NGO. Armed with new knowledge about their role in the municipal waste system, their ambitions shifted. And these women proposed the creation of an effective waste management program comprised of small waste sector businesses run by waste pickers. Imagine a number of businesses run by this group of women that works to move this region towards zero waste. In 2012, my students worked with the women waste pickers to form the cooperative Luz del Futuro. Together, we conducted waste sorts in businesses, schools, and homes to understand the composition of waste so that we could research supply chains for different waste materials. We mapped the local institutions, the universities and the schools, the municipal government, the small businesses, and the NGO to understand how the cooperatives can meet their collection needs. We flew kites with cameras attached so that we could know the location of every informal dump site in the region. Together with the waste pickers, we sat with the municipal governments with giant laminated maps of the municipality to understand the location of neighborhoods where there is no municipal collection. These are our pockets of opportunity. Here's what the vision for the new waste system looks like: a straight-up recycling facility, collection businesses in neighborhoods that cannot be accessed by municipal trucks, a pig business for managing organic waste, that's my favorite, compost for food production, and even in an attempt to keep plastic off the Corn Islands. As you can imagine, plastic on islands is really a challenge. So in an effort to keep plastic off the islands, we created a business that provided filtered water to tourists on the Corn Islands. Even so, back at CoLab, we began to realize that although the waste pickers in the region were finally being recognized as important environmental workers, the recycling facilities were making all the money. In other locales, I was beginning to see recycling companies at landfills employ a small number of waste pickers, shutting out many others who had previously relied on the material for their livelihood income. In Managua, an estimated 2,000 waste pickers had created a community around La Chueca, until recently the largest dump site in Central America. 3 years ago, Spanish aid was provided to build a recycling facility next to the site, hiring around 300 waste pickers. The other 1,670 were locked out of the new sanitary landfill, which meant they no longer had access to material. In a city in Baja California, Mexico, I saw a private company create their own NGO that organized unions of waste pickers, shutting out the non-member informal recyclers from the transfer station so that they could be assured a constant stream of material. Therefore, we began to realize that we needed to encourage and support a new kind of recycling business, a just regional recycling facility that is not solely run by a private enterprise that relies on waste pickers to simply collect and sort material, but instead employs a truly democratic business model where waste pickers are part owners of a processing plant that sells material to the world market. At the same time, we realized that we needed to develop a waste management system that engaged waste pickers up and down the Caribbean coastline. A system that not only reduces greenhouse gas emissions and public health threats by diminishing the amount of waste that finds its way into the sea, but a system that generates livelihood for waste pickers and others living on less than $2 a day in Mexico, Honduras, Belize, and here in Panama. In 2013, the Inter-American Development Bank approached me to create a zero-waste system on Panama's Cunayala Islands. We chose to include 4 islands, the Carti Islands, in a pilot project. My students and I traveled to the islands for 2 weeks in January. Upon arrival, this was their reaction.
I was shocked to see that there was so much trash that was like on the ground, so much trash in the oceans, something that we don't really see in the US.
In the past, most of their garbage was organic, and so they could throw it in the ocean and it would break down. But now, as more people are coming to the islands and more plastic bottles and cans are coming to the islands, the old habits are remaining where they're throwing it into the ocean, but it's not breaking down.
So right now there is some sort of more informal recycling of aluminum cans, but we see a lot of plastic and other materials just thrown into the sea.
I definitely see tons of textiles and plastics in all the ocean surrounding the island and washing up to shore in a way that it seems sort of endless, because as soon as you clean it up, there's more underneath and more always being produced.
Now in Cunayala, there are no waste pickers. There are no waste expert for us to partner with. So we borrowed the expertise of the Bluefields waste pickers and we transported it to these islands. However, the Kuna people do employ a highly democratic system to govern their islands. On the Carti Islands, their democratic system forced us to develop new strategies for co-creating waste sector technology and business models.
Most of the community is very aware of the problem and really is they're looking for a solution. So the response to us being here was overwhelmingly positive.
And people were really excited about putting solutions down on paper. From there, we actually went into, okay, so now looking at these islands, let's make a plan for what recycling might look like if you were running an association. I have been really impressed by the people. This culture is an extremely democratic society, and they're so used to communicating and hearing each other out and respecting each other's voices.
And I think the curriculum that we've developed here can be replicated in small neighborhoods and cities. And Casco Viejo is a problem, but also my home neighborhood in Boston is a problem. So I think that you can mimic the program design in lots of different places, and I never would have understood the program design if I hadn't been working here.
These strategies that the Kuna people taught me really ensure that this newly designed waste system will be appropriately embedded in their communities. So I'm going to wrap up. My feeling is, we need to build networks of waste sector enterprises that meet the needs of local institutions, including businesses and municipal governments, schools and university, in partnership with waste pickers so that they can be part of the effort to reinvigorate local economies. We need to create leadership development and entrepreneurship programs, not to stop informal recyclers from working in waste management, but to show them how to effectively embed their knowledge in existing waste systems, no matter how beleaguered. We need to design and implement working waste systems in remote regions where plastic in waterways harms sea life and human health. for instance, up and down the Caribbean coastline. We need to create a new kind of recycling processing plant that is collectively owned and democratically run by the private sector, the municipal government, and waste pickers. We need to be aware of strategies for managing waste, emerging out of the waste picking movement, leading the world in innovative methods for combating environmental degradation. We need to create this country, this world, and we need to do it now. Thanks.